what we don't realize is that unresolved emotions and self-talk and stuff like that can become a distraction that takes you out of that flow state and out of your ability to be at that heightened level that you were just talking about.
I made it through the rough time. I made it through the tough time. I made it through the bad time. So now I gotta get mine. Gotta weather the storm. Gotta get mine. Gotta weather the storm. I gotta get mine. Gotta weather the storm. Okay.
You've joined the Bailey and Buck Show, and our sponsor today is Iconic Agua. I'm Bailey Brooks Mashburn, your iconic host, celebrity wedding planner, former alumni NFL cheerleader, and executive director of the Kennedy Kids Foundation. We are also joined today with our other iconic host, Robert Bailey, two-time Super Bowl champion, two-time national champion, ESPY Award winner, Guinness Book of World Record holder for longest punt return, and president of Rosenau Sports and the Kennedy Kids Foundation as well. Welcome, Robert.
Good to be here. Good to be here.
Today, we're going to speak to Misty Buck, who is a mental health and performance coach to the stars and also the author of the Athlete's Mental Health Playbook. Welcome, Misty Buck.
Oh, can I go? Thank you. I'm super, super excited to join you all today. Thanks for having me.
We're so excited that you would join us today. First of all, I actually had a copy of your book, which it says is a beginner's guide to mental wellness for athletes because you're a human, not a robot. And that was the first thing that caught my eyes. What led you to write this book, and how did you come up with that tagline?
Now, where can we get it?
Oh, we got a lot of answers right off the top to start with. All right, let's dig in. So the book, you can get it on Amazon. Athlete Mental Health Playbook. You just search for that. It'll pop right up for you. And all major stores, right? But Amazon's the most popular one. So the reason I came to write this book is kind of a little bit of a long story, but it's kind of going to give you an insight into how I got into being a mental health and performance coach in the first place, right? So basically, I was an athlete growing up. I was a cheerleader, right? We've talked about that. And then I coached cheerleading. My dad was a football coach for a long time. My brother played football. Like, I was just always at the park, always at the sidelines. Like, sports was just a part of my life, right? Like that fresh cut grass, in August, September, I'm like, there's nothing better. So I just was always around that world, right? And it was like just the best thing ever. I loved coaching cheerleading. I coached championship Pee Wee teams. And that was like my favorite thing that I ever did. It was all volunteer. If you're in Miami, you might be familiar with Sunnyland Park. That was my home base for many, many, many years, probably over a decade, right? So I loved it. It was my favorite thing I ever did. I just loved it so much. I think coaching really came really naturally to me. My dad, like I said, was a coach. And he was a coach that coached you beyond the X's and O's. He would go and pick guys up, take them from home, from practice. He told this amazing story to me recently where there was a player. My dad also worked for the school board. He did like painting and different contracting things at different schools. And he told this amazing story of there was a player on his team who I think was in 3rd or 4th grade at the time, couldn't read or write. So my dad, because he has access to the schools, goes to the school and says to the principal, how is this possible? How can it be possible that this kid has gone this far and can't read or write? So he sat with the principal, he got the parents involved, and he arranged for tutors so that this kid could catch up and start to learn, right? Wow. And so to me, that was always the essence of being a coach, is really affecting people beyond, again, like the X's and O's and the fundamentals, right? And my dad there was no one better at pregame speeches. I mean, he hurt his hand once punching a wall, trying to get the team fired up, right? So it was that. And then when I was a coach, I took that and I ran with it. My cheerleaders, they were not allowed to say, I can't. They could tell me, I'll try, but they were not allowed to say, They said, I can't. They was like, they had to do sit-ups or run or whatever it was. So, I really loved being a part of that. On the other side of that, though, I was a very sensitive child. I'm still very, might call me HSP, highly sensitive person, empathic, whatever, right? So I was always in my feelings. And so I I would, I could cry, I could get upset. And the things that I heard in those environments were stop being a baby, walk it off, like all other words I won't use here, right? Like all kinds of things for having all these feelings. And I was like, man, what is wrong with me? Why is everyone around me so much tougher than I am? So I'm in high school. This is when I go through my bout with depression. This is when I had suicidal thoughts. This is when things were really, really, really rough for me. And it's sort of like when those worlds collided, because it was like I had all this shame, which was very normal around mental health in general at that time. And then also being around sports and stuff was like, I'm not tough enough. What the hell is wrong with me? Why am I not as tough as these other kids?
Right.
And then, but on the other side of that, I was super competitive. And I think like that competitiveness, I think that I'm not going to give up. I'm a fighter mentality is what got me through each round of my mental health struggles, because there have been many. So, or several, I should say. So fast forward to now I've gone through college. Now I'm in my career. I'm working in marketing, have a business that I started when I was 26. And I'm like, man, there's something here, something's missing for me. So I go back and I get certified as a life coach. And then people were trying to say, who do you want to work with? Who do you want to work with? You should work with this person. You should work with that person. And I tried all these different things. And then finally I worked with a coach who said, Misty, what are the things that are impacted you the most? And I said, well, my time coaching, and that I still am trying to replicate that satisfaction in my life and that fulfillment, and my mental health struggles. So he said, why don't you help athletes with mental health? So this was around 2017. Nobody was really talking about this stuff yet. Shortly thereafter is when the DeMar DeRozan stuff came out, the Kevin Love stuff came out. Now it's starting to become more popular conversation. But I started this blog where I was writing about athletes and mental health. And so I thought I don't know who's going to stumble upon this and read every single article. So why don't I take this, reformat it, and put it into a book? And I published that in 2020. That's how that book was born. So,
Wow.
yeah.
That's impressive. And then what does it take to put a book together like this? Did you like sit down and pre-write like all your notes out and then find a publisher and then bind it and then go to sell it? Like that's a lot of work to put into a book.
So this is my second book went a little bit more like that. I had a formal outline that I did, whatever. Both were self-published. So I did not have to go to a publisher. I just decided, because anyone can publish on Amazon.
Oh, gotcha.
So I learned some of the ropes around that. I hired a company to help me format it and all that. But basically I was like, let me take this book, my blogs, let me put it into some kind of like chapter format, give it some kind of flow to it. Let me come up with some exercises and worksheets to go in here. Because I don't know about you, but I hate reading something and then having no way to apply it. I'm like, okay, this is great, but now what do I do with it?
Right.
I wanted to take it and put it in that book. And the book's like I don't even think it's 100 pages. And so it's very simple. It was a process of just me trying to write it and put it in a way that made sense, but that it was simple, because I don't have a clinical background and I didn't want it to feel clinical. I wanted it to be approachable. So that's kind of a non-traditional way of writing a book. My second one, I had an outline and I went through a little bit more of a process. I self-published, but this one was.
And what's the name of your second book?
Athlete Branding Blueprint. So that one, the whole first half of it is about your mindset. It's kind of hard to tell with background, but your mindset around building your brand and sort of authenticity and being who you are and not getting trapped in things like fear, what other people think you should be, and kind of all these other things that come up for a lot of people. And then the second half is how do you build your brand?
And then who are some of the celebrities that have you've taken through that process like that with the branding and like defining who they are and who they want to be in the world?
I don't know if she's allowed to say.
I'm not. Yeah, I was just gonna say I'm not.
Well, she said she's not clinical. She's not a
Yeah, but all my clients, there's confidentiality agreement.
Confidentiality.
They all sign it.
You know that. Yeah.
I sign it. You sign it. Yeah, everyone signs it. So if there's like Marcus Ogden, he's come forward and he's talked about working with me. So there's people that do, but I leave that up to them because if I don't have your trust, it's very difficult to help.
And he would be a really amazing interview for us. That would be an excellent one to.
We should get him on the show.
We should try to get him. Anyway, so Misty, I'm really just impressed by the fact that you pulled this all together with no like actual formal, like you're not a licensed clinician, but you went into the mental health case. But I believe you're also a life coach, right?
I'm a certified life coach, certified meditation and mindfulness teacher. So
That's awesome. That's, I'm just hearing all of these things that you're saying. And, Kennedy Kids was formed because I lost my daughter, Kennedy, to suicide. And when you were saying a lot of the things that you were going through and the characteristics that you had, it sounded like you were talking about Kennedy. Kennedy was extremely sensitive, very sensitive. We'd see a homeless person on the side, and I mentioned this before, she would start crying. But she was very competitive. I don't know, did you go through bullying at all? Because Kennedy had some bullying to the point where we had to change schools for her. And that really affected her, because she was already a sensitive person. Did you go through any bullying?
I did, but first I want to thank you for sharing that. I know you're so free and open with Kennedy's story, and I know must not be easy for you to talk about it every time you bring it up.
Not easy, but that's the only way to help other people. That's the
only way out is through.
Right.
You're right, but I still want to thank you for that, because I know that's not easy. So
no.
Yeah. So I did have definitely the bullies and the mean girls. I never changed schools. They're it was always like an awkward thing because I always wanted everybody to be happy. I always wanted there to be peace, right? So you want to talk about super sensitive? I'll share a story that if my family hears, crack up that I shared this from when I was a little kid. So there was a movie. So I cried for everything.
Right.
Right. And I've always been a writer, by the way.
So did Kennedy. So that was like
so I think there is something to the being a creative and highly sensitive and mental health. I think there's definitely a link there.
There's a link, yes.
For sure.
Because Kennedy was an artist. She went to an art school.
Right. And it was like this beautiful outlet for her emotions and her sensitivity, I'm sure. I never, unfortunately, did not have an opportunity to meet her.
Right.
But I can imagine because I identify with that so deeply. Because so I was going to tell kind of like a funny story. So you guys remember, this was back in the 80s. There was a movie, Harry and the Hendersons.
Yeah.
Big time. Okay. So my aunt takes me to see this movie. I don't know. I'm like 7 years old or whatever. She takes me to see this movie. So Harry is like an animal to me, right? Always been an animal lover, earth lover. Like I want love for everybody, right? So just total tree hugger over here. So anyways, there's a point in the movie where the father starts yelling at Harry. I start wailing, like crying. My aunt had to take me out of the theater. It was like a whole thing because I was so deeply hurt. The father yelled at Harry. I couldn't stand it. It was just too sad for me. Why was he being so mean? So people being mean always affected me. So but there was a point in my life where it was like too much that sort of like I started to become like a little mean back. I think, and I never liked that part of myself, but I feel like I developed it out of necessity.
Well, they usually say that what happens to you, you become, and you start to manifest it, right? There's a lot of cases. There are kids that may be bullies or may molest other, younger kids, and it's because maybe they got molested as children when they were young, or, were bullied, and so I could see how that would happen for you.
Yeah, I don't think there was ever a bully, but I did not back down. And like
Right.
maybe sometimes like popped off a little too easily. Like instead of just sort of like controlling my emotion. I think that was the whole thing. I never learned until I was much older how to manage my emotions. That 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 topic and that knowledge and the education just didn't exist. And I was never been the type of a person to I wear my heart on my sleeve. And I've never been the person to just suck it up and nobody knows what's going on. I've learned how to compartmentalize better as I've gotten older. But I certainly wasn't that way growing up. And everything hurt me. Everything touched me, so I felt
Right.
everything. So, I think but that to say, I think that's why I do what I do now.
And that's help the stars. You have helped a lot of people. You help them with their mental health and with their performance. And how's that been for you? And your mental health, helping others, right? That you've gone through this whole journey in your life of sensitivity and depression and suicide thoughts. And now you're helping people that look like you in the mirror in terms of their mental health, right? Look like, so are you like, what techniques, how has that been for you helping them? And do you apply the same techniques that helps you? Or like, is it something that you learned when you went to school? How was all that journey?
So that's a great question. So I always say the way that I help people, again, I'm not a clinician, right? So I'm always really careful about if you're going through something really deep and you don't already have a mental health therapist, I want you to go because I can only I know my lane, right? I'm very respectful of that, having been in therapy for many, 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 many years. So it always helps me when I help other people. And the more that I grow, I feel like the more that I'm able to and learn, which is happening every single day in my life, as it is to all of us, that I'm able to help other people. What I'm really big on, because I think the most important thing is to earn someone's trust and provide a space where they don't feel judged and they feel safe. That's criteria number one, right? That's my first job because it's so therapeutic for them when they feel like they have somewhere where they can go, where somebody actually hears me, somebody sees me, somebody's validating me, somebody's not judging. This person I can trust. They're not going to take this and go run with it, right? So that's the first thing that we're doing. The second thing that we're doing is I'm speaking to you as an individual because the techniques and tools that I've learned thus far, one may work for you, Bailey, and one may work for you, Robert. I have no idea.
Right.
So I'm listening to figure out, help you kind of like sort your thoughts out, right? So it's like, I'm helping you help yourself, basically. And along the way, yeah, I'm teaching tools. So just as a quick example, the other day I was helping somebody who is having some problems with a family member. It's been ongoing. It's a parent. And it's like, they're really angry. They're holding on to a lot of hurt, but they're trying to go through their day and kind of put it in the back of their mind, but they're still carrying around all this hurt and anger around this situation. So I said, why don't we try this? So we did what's called tapping or EFT. Have you guys heard of this?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I've
I've
heard of it
never,
on Real Housewives, but I've never I don't know what the heck it is. I just
I've
hear.
never heard of it.
You never, okay. So basically it's a technique or a tool where it looks really funny, but you're basically tapping on different points of your body as you talk about the situation. So, and the points that you're tapping on, exactly. The points that you're tapping on are related to acupuncture points. They're meridians where there's like energy there. It's like a whole thing, right? So you can by tapping on this, you're taking what's going on in your mind and your emotions, and you're giving it a physical component and a physical outlet, if you will. And you're allowing yourself to face and come to the truth with how you feel around something. And then you can continue tapping through to let it go. So it might look like a setup statement, like the first part is, even though I'm really upset that my partner keeps coming home late every day, or whatever the situation is, right? I choose to love and accept myself, because that's really important. You have to accept how you're feeling and love and accept yourself, right? Then we're going to tap through like all the different ways that it feels for you. This is why it's angry. This is what it reminds me of. This is how it feels. And then we're going to tap through, how do I let this go? How do I love and accept myself? How do I make peace with this? And that process is one technique that allows somebody to take what's going on inside and kind of give it a physical release and really let it go beyond, I'm just not going to think about it.
It's incredible.
Right. So I have this great visual called the Wheel of Emotions that I'll show that gives you like just, I don't even know how many are. There's a bunch there. But also it could be as simple as this. I will ask people, okay, if you maybe don't know how you're feeling, I'll ask it in different ways. So one question might be, if you were an emoji, which one would you be right now?
If you were an emoji, which one would you be?
Yeah.
I'd be unicorn.
You'd be the unicorn right now. You're a unicorn. Robert, which one would you be right now?
If I was an emoji, which one would I be? She said a unicorn?
Yeah, I'd be the unicorn.
That's so funny. That's hilarious.
How many memes do you know?
I think if I was an emoji, I'd be the fire emoji.
Right now?
Yeah.
All right. That's so funny because I had in my head, I had said that he would be the one that's the exploding bomb with the fire on the end of it. Like, oh,
Yeah.
to light it.
Yeah. I would be the fire. And I use that a lot.
It's not the emoji.
I use the fire emoji a lot, but I think, I don't know, my personality and, cause I mean, I'm either low or high, like it's, you know what I mean? I don't know. It's helped me with football, and a lot of my success is because I take myself to another level and I get to an emotion that when I'm done doing what I'm doing, then I can bring it back down. But I know I have to get to this. I always tell my clients, as an agent, I always tell my clients, when the game comes, you got to go somewhere you've never been before. And I say to them,
that.
yeah, I say to them, emotionally, you got to do it because you can't be in the same emotional state that you're in every day and expect to have this incredible performance. You in order to be better than last year or greater than you were before, you got to emotionally go somewhere you've never been before. And so I always tell them, come out of the phone booth as a different person right before the game starts. And so that's kind of one of the things I say to them, and, they relate to it.
Why do you ask that,
love
Misty?
Up there?
Yeah, that's fantastic. I had to write that quote down when the game comes.
Yeah.
To go somewhere.
I love that. And I think, I think a lot of times athletes in particular, sometimes they're hesitant to work with somebody like me because they don't want to lose that edge. And they think, okay, if I start to work on, so I always describe it as harnessing your inner peace to unleash your performance. But what does that mean, right? Because people will say, okay, but if I lose my edge, if I lose my anger or whatever it is, I'm not going to be able to perform as the same way, right? Especially in sport like football, right? So how do I do that? But the thing is that we're not trying to take away your edge. I'm not trying to have you walk out on the field or the court or wherever like a sitting Buddha, like totally zen. Like that's not the point. But the point is that what we don't realize is that unresolved emotions and self-talk and stuff like that can become a distraction that takes you out of that flow state and out of your ability to be at that heightened level that you were just talking about.
Right.
So, Missy, why do you ask, like, where do you go after you've identified, like, the person's emojis? Like, for me, I picked the unicorn, not just because it's, like, funny, but I know I'm a unicorn because I'm one of those people that's a multitasker, and I've been in so many different industries that it doesn't matter what you put in front of me, I'm still going to excel at it.
Yeah, you are definitely a unicorn. You're definitely a one of one. You are one of one.
Nobody's arguing that.
But so when you find that out, when someone answers the emotion question, like Robert's fire, I'm the unicorn, then what happens?
Then I want to find out more about that. That's interesting. Tell me more about that. What do you relate to about that? Right. It may be, and sometimes people are like, I don't know. And then, okay, if you were a color, what color would you be right now? Right. It's just like, it's finding question. It's just question. Just getting
Red.
really curious.
My
But
color is red.
Your color's red right now?
Mine's blue.
Yeah.
No.
No, but like right now in this moment, not like your everyday, like that's my color. Like like right now in this moment, what color are you?
In what moment? The interview moment or
Yeah, right now.
Right
Right
now,
now.
ask you a question.
As the words are coming out of your mouth, what color are you?
red?
Why?
I just feel, I think red is energy and I just feel energy. I always feel energy.
Okay. What do you mean by energy? Because your root chakra is red. So that's like grounded. That's the color of grounding in root chakras. But that may not mean for you. So what does red mean for you in terms of energy?
Well, I just feel like I'm always, like I can never sit still.
Okay.
I don't know. I can't sit still and I'm always moving. And I just feel like red is my color no matter what. Like you said, this moment, I feel like red right now. You know what I mean?
Is red like ready to go for you? Like I'm
ready to go. I'm ready to
You're wearing a red shirt, by the way.
Yeah,
Red.
and that too. I don't even know if he knows he's wearing a red shirt.
Yeah, if you're listening, you won't see this, but he's wearing a red shirt. So red means that Robert is ready to go.
I'm ready. I'm ready to go. Yeah. I've never felt any other color, not blue, maybe sometimes, I don't know, green, but more red. I just connect with red. Yes, Bailey's like green for money, but I'm just connected with, if the red brings the green.
Yeah, it does.
Okay, so what about like at night when you're getting ready to fall asleep and you need to relax your body and your mind so you can fall asleep? Are you still red?
I'm not a person that, and it seems like the interview is switched, but but
I'm super interested.
Oh, you're in therapy right now. No, you're in therapy.
We're
This
all
is live
hosts,
therapy.
right? We're all hosts of the Bailey and Buck, so it's good that, even though we're getting to know each other and fans, it's a good question. So I'm not the type that I wind down. I don't go and turn the TV off and start winding down. No, I can't do that. I go and I'm looking for something. I lay down in the bed. I turn the TV on. I'm looking for an action-packed movie, and I want action. And I typically will fall asleep and not even know I fell asleep. And the movie is still
you can't go until your body says
going on. Huh?
Yeah, you go until your body says we're done.
Yes. Exactly. I'm jumping the ramp, and I'm gonna keep making the ramp distance further until I crash. And then that's when I stop.
Only when your body makes you. Okay. See?
Yeah.
We're gonna sign up Robert for a couple more classes after this call.
Yeah, I'd be glad.
He said he goes until he crashes. We need a new plan.
Yeah. I go. But
if it works for him, it works for him. I mean, that's meeting people where they're at. Right. So I'm trying to change something that you don't want to change.
No, but how much can help us sustain that pattern? Like I go until they crash.
Yeah, that's what in my mind, coaches have done to me since I was a little kid. Right? Coaches have done that. They've told me, like, that's not good enough. And they yell and they scream. And, I've learned that I have to give it my all in everything, no matter what it is. You got to give your all. It could be, studying. It could be, one time I was in college and I studied like every night all night. And then the night before the test, I must have studied from like, until like maybe 4 or 5 in the morning. And then I took the test and I got like a high B, and I called my brother and I said to my brother, man, I studied all night. I looked up to my brother, he's a doctor. And I said, I studied all night and I got a high B, and I didn't go to bed till like 4:30, whatever. My brother said, well, you should have stayed up till 5:30. Right. So you could see like,
Maybe you'd have got an A if you stayed up till 6.
yeah. So for me, it's always been about just
Pushing the envelope.
pushing it until, and that's how I will get success.
Yeah. And it is how he gets stuff done, and he is super successful. So whatever he's doing, he's right. Like you're right, Missy, it's working for him. It's just like, I know that sleep is a valuable asset, and I know what time Robert starts texting me in the morning. So if that goes to bed at night, I'm like, when did he sleep? So do me. What's blue? Because I feel blue in this moment. Yes, do me next. What does blue represent? I want to know, because now that I learned all about the color red, I'm like, what's blue?
What's blue?
Well, I mean, it depends on you. If we're looking at chakras, blue is the throat chakra.
Did not know that.
Yeah, blue is the throat chakra.
What is the throat chakra? What does that mean?
Your throat chakra is just like, it's probably pretty obvious. Communication.
That's her.
Kind of stuff, right?
Talking, that's her.
Yeah, so it's like that. No, so the top of your head, your crown is like a purplish. There's a bunch, but I'll walk you through them real quick. That's like purplish, right? That's like your kind of like connection to spirit. Third eye is like a different shade of blue that's where you like kind of get your intuition from, right? And then you have throat, and you have heart, which is green. Your stomach basically is yellow, your solar plexus. And then you have orange, your sacral, and then red is your ground.
So like Robert, he says he always feels red. Like I consistently only feel shades of blue. Like there's light blue.
But this is my point though. Like that doesn't mean that, that's a chakra like association. It just means like I need to know when I'm coaching is like, what does blue feel like to you? And where do you feel it in your body?
Blue feels like peace to me, and I usually feel it like in my stomach and my chest, and sometimes my head. Like when it's the really light blue, it feels very airy and like it's trying to come out. Like I feel light, like, and I feel like a sense of calmness when stuff starts to hit the fan. So one of the things that I typically do is like in an emergency situation, I'm probably your best bet because I will react. I will follow all the rules. I probably know the technique to like do CPR or save a life or rescue somebody. But the minute the event is over, I have like a huge chaotic breakdown. Like it's like a huge release of like this whole, like, it's like an explosion. Once it's over and everything is calm and situated and everybody's good, then it's like a complete meltdown for me.
Yeah, I think we've talked about this before. You thrive in chaos.
Yes, I do for some weird reason, but yeah.
We'll talk other time about that.
I made a session too now.
We'll talk about that weird reason.
This is going real well.
Some people find comfort in, for lack of a better word, we'll just use this word we're using right now, in chaos. Like, and then they wonder, like, why can I not find peace? Why can I not sit still? Because you're comfortable there. Well, why am I comfortable there? I don't know. Let's look at it.
Oh.
So, you're not necessarily telling if it works for you. If it works for you, say it again.
I think you're not necessarily telling people like this is wrong or this is this. You're like,
that's not my job.
I don't know. Let's find out. Like,
let's find out. Let's find out, because my job is to help you get to know yourself better. So if someone comes to me, they might have a specific goal. Like, hey, Misty, I want to get better at performance. I want to feel more in flow. Or I get like a lot of performance anxiety, or, I throw up before every game or whatever. Let's talk through that. Maybe you're thinking that's bad, but maybe it's not. Maybe it's your body getting you ready for performance.
Well, last question for you, Misty, before we sign off from this iconic podcast. Just a thought, because of what I do as the executive director for Kennedy Kids Foundation, and Robert's the president. Of course, you're on the board, but just thinking out loud, is this a skill that you can teach other people for like how to listen to other people so that maybe we could create more sounding boards across the community for people to be able to listen as well. Because I'm learning from you today that it's not necessarily always about diagnosing someone, more about helping them diagnose themselves and walk through a process of identifying why they are acting or responding the way they are to certain stimuli.
Right. I mean, because think about it, Bailey, think about it, Robert. If I would have told you your color is red because of this and your color is blue before this, you'd go, okay. But you defined that for yourself. That's empowering. That's empowering. Because now I know myself a little bit better.
Right. You didn't tell me is
I
something
didn't tell you.
right.
That's excellent.
You know what I mean? Like and I can give you tools. Like you say to me, okay, Misty, for example, I want to learn meditation. Okay, here's 4 different types of meditation. Let's start with one of these and let's see how they go. And then, but let's talk about what meditation is and what it isn't. So you see what I'm saying? Like the individual lead the space. I'm just asking questions and sometimes providing insight or information. And sometimes it's just me repeating back what they said that they go, I said that? Yeah. Oh, and then it makes sense, like light bulb, right? So that's essentially what coaching is. That's how it's different than therapy. But I definitely think, Bailey, to your point that, if we could all benefit from listening to one each other more without bringing our personal biases and judgments in as much as possible. That's why I love mindfulness so much, because it helps you learn to become aware of those things and be unattached to outcomes that you want or expectations that you have. Be able to kind of let those things go and be like, okay, if this is this person's experience, this is their experience. Who am I to say that's not your experience?
Right.
I'm not. So
super impressive, Misty. I can't thank you enough. And my mindfulness is telling me to be super grateful for being able to share this time with you and Robert today.
Yes.
And thank you to Iconic Aqua again for being our sponsor.
Misty, was great. Giving you this platform so our audience could get to know you and get to, see us all three interact with each other. And it was fun. And, our future guests are, we're going to have a lot of fun talking about celebrities and what they go through mentally and what, how they come to where they are and their success. And so I'm happy to be a part of you two wonderful ladies and this show.
Yeah, me too. Thanks, guys.
Bye, guys.